Entwicklung der jüdischen Rasse in Europa.
In the mid-1930s, German dictator Adolf Hitler began his quest for world domination. With his invasion of Poland, he began a reign of tyranny that would last 6 years. Most of Europe collapsed under the strong arm of Hitler's armies, and its people became victims of Hitler's ruthlessness. Followers of Hitler committed atrocities, persecuting and slaughtering innocent people. Why? Because of their race, religious beliefs, and Hitler's hate. Incarcerated at concentration camps, they died by the millions, most of them Jews. On December 7, 1941, in a surprise attack, Japanese fighter pilots bombed the U.S. naval port Pearl Harbor. This ruthless act of aggression became the impetus that drove the United States of America into war. The states came together as a nation, as men and women from all walks of life united to help support the cause. Sacrifices were made here at home, but the ultimate sacrifice was made by the young men, many of them just boys, who enlisted and were drafted into the military to prepare for the fight ahead. On November 25, 1940, the El Paso contingent of the Texas National Guard was federalized and activated for duty as a division of the U.S. Army. The unit, later known as a Fierce Fighting Unit, was composed of mostly Hispanic youth. These school-age men dropped out of Bowie, Austin, and El Paso high schools to serve. Many didn't speak English, but understood the cause and enlisted in the National Guard. Company E of the 141st Infantry Regiment, 36th Division, became a well-trained group, tight-knit and hardy. Among these elite soldiers was a man by the name of John L. Chapin, born March 15, 1913, a son of an El Paso family, a product of El Paso and Isleta schools, and commander of Company E. Member of the 36th Infantry Division, 141st Infantry Regiment. Hero. Recipient of a Silver Star and a Purple Heart. John L. Chapin, a son, a father, and a husband.
Well, he was quite handsome. He was tall and well-built, and he was a funny person. He had a wonderful wit, sense of humor, and he was so principled and so loyal and steadfast, and it was just wonderful to be with him. And his personality, I think, has gone over into Paul's personality quite a lot. Kind and enjoy life and having fun and yet wanting to be a good father and husband. And he was a all-around person, just simply a wonderful person. They had seen what was going on in Europe. You know, action started over there in 1939. And he had seen what was going on in Europe and knew that it was wrong. And philosophically, he was just willing to make the sacrifice, which was not easy, to leave your family and go over there and do that, and thinking that you might not live through it. It was a very big sacrifice. Company E was a group of men all from El Paso, mostly were Hispanic, and these men had been with him from the very start. He had trained them in his own way, and they were really a prize company in the Army. And they formed a company that was so loyal to his leadership that he didn't ever want to leave them. 5 times he was offered a majority and turned them all down because he just didn't want to leave Company E. And he would have had to if he'd taken that promotion. In letters, after he died, I received a few letters from some of these men, and they said they would have followed him anywhere.
Company E's battle baptism happened at Salerno, Italy. On September 9th, 1943, the 36th Infantry Division landed on the beaches of Italy. Under the cover of darkness, the 36th charged the beaches, attacking strong German defenses. The sands were blanketed with razor-sharp barbed wire, and the air was saturated with heavy artillery and machine gun fire. Company E was relentless, and their action reflected the character of their company commander. Tough, disciplined, and courageous. El Pasoan Sergeant Rafael Torres was one of the many soldiers who served under Captain Chapin. He spent those wee hours on September 9th cutting through barbed wire, exchanging gunfire with German machine guns, and disabling German tanks. A hero and highly decorated, he is one of the few still with us to reflect.
I go to an open area to where I could get in, where I was going to throw a grenade from, but I couldn't throw it in the bomb position. So I started to get up, but at the same time I saw the turret of the gun moving in my direction. So I went flat again and pulled back. And then I noticed the slits. They have slits where the people in the tank look outside. If I can put a bullet there, that will fix that tank. So I stood up and aimed. A couple of times I had to lower my rifle and wipe my eyes because perspiration was blurring my vision. Finally, I had the right aim. I slowly squeezed the trigger and bang, and the tank went in reverse at full speed, knocking down trees and everywhere. I was very surprised.
And so were the Germans. The U.S. won the battle and eventually the war. But success came at a cost. The Battle of Salerno was one of the bloodiest in history. Many perished, and the sight of a fallen soldier was sometimes difficult to accept. Sergeant Torres and many others would see the ultimate sacrifice, a fellow man's life for his country.
As I look at the young man, he looked like a teenager, not a man. What in the hell is he doing here in Italy? He should be going out for the football team in the school, or trying to find a date for the coming prom, and now he's dead. And something happened within me that I took it personally, I guess, that this young man, so young, would be killed.
The liberation of Europe and the defeat of Hitler came inch by inch. Bloody battles were fought throughout the Italian campaign, especially in Salerno, San Pietro, and on the Rapido River. Eventually, Company E went on to fight for 5 years, in 5 campaigns, in 5 countries. The cost of freedom was high. Over 50 million lives were lost across the world, and our nation mourned the loss of 300,000 individuals, including that of Captain John L. Chapin and members of Company E.
Captain John Chapin, affectionately known as Captain John to his men, wounded on December 16, 1943, during the Battle of San Pietro. While recovering in the hospital of his wounds, potential wounds that could send him back to the United States, Captain John found out that his division had orders to cross the Rapido River. Captain John said, "No, I brought these boys overseas, and with the help of God, we'll take them back to Texas or die trying." Captain John left the hospital and joined his men. During the Battle of the Rapido River, which took place on January the 22nd, 1944, Captain John tried and tried to get his men across. They were broken into 2 waves. The first wave made it. Contact was broken. Captain John was found, his carbine in one hand and his telephone in the other. It was obvious to all who came over what had happened on the other end. They were out of ammunition. None of them survived. And Captain John Chapin was awarded posthumously the Silver Star.
Throughout time, millions have fought and many have died to preserve our freedom, uphold our flag, and to protect our frontier. Headstones stand tall across the world, reminding us of the many wars and battles fought. Each gravesite represents a soldier, a warrior, an unsung hero. And there are those with the insignia KIA, killed in action. Action that should never be forgotten. Under the shadows of the Franklin Mountains in El Paso, Texas, far removed from his resting place in Italy, a soldier's patriotic pride is remembered. A school with his namesake was built to continue the character, values, and courage that he stood for. The gentleman known to his men as Daddy Longlegs from El Paso, Texas, will forever be immortalized in this state-of-the-art facility.
It's such an honor. I just can't imagine that after he'd been gone 56 years, this wonderful thing has happened to honor him. It's just unbelievable. And it's the most wonderful school. The building itself is just unbelievable. It's so beautiful and it's so state-of-the-art. Everything about it is just right up to the minute. And the students that I met were just so enthusiastic and proud of their school, and I know they will make a really wonderful institution out of it. Having named a high school for him, I think that as the students there learn about him through the years, if they will let him be their role model, it couldn't be better. He had all of the characteristics of a really fine human being that they would do well to follow.
Said